One of the reasons why I used to be such a miserable fuck was because I was a walking reaction. You know, I was basically a child throwing peas at the wall. My life wasn't going the way that I planned, and I was angry and unhappy and hurt. And the byproduct of that was me just being explosive and reactionary. And this doesn't translate well into obviously relationships, but more importantly, if you continue to just react, you're living in a loop of negative patterns, right? And that loop, constantly living there, just completely lowers you into lower frequencies. So if you stop and you decide to respond instead of react, right, that changes everything. It breaks that pattern and it forces you to start exploring and expanding instead of constricting. So my do is do respond, don't react. I think this is also something that separates boy from man, but also child from adult. Adult have the ability to respond, right? So they're able to choose how they want to respond, choose their attitude, choose their perspective, their mindset, instead of just vomiting what they feel. Now, if you just vomit what you feel, you're going to be a child, and if you maneuver like a child, you're going to be treated like a child, but you're not going to accomplish much in the world if you're just a walking reaction. So, what does it look like for you to start responding instead of reacting, right? And you know what? Maybe it's a long process of choosing to forgive someone. Maybe it's a process of choosing to forgive yourself. Maybe it requires a deep, hard look at your wiring and why you are this way. Maybe you're a walking reaction because you're coping through a lot of your addictions or vices. You have to decide where this is, you have to find out where this is coming from and then decide that you're going to respond. And so then my other question is, what does a response look like? In everything that you do, whether you are creating art or loving someone or building, your business, hanging out with friends, family, etc. What do your responses look like, not your reactions? And finally, can you execute those responses, right? Can you actually respond instead of react, knowing that if you react, you're going to eventually be miserable. It's a losing game. You're going to eventually, the pinball that kind of it could go all over, but eventually it's going to come down to the same hole. You're going to meet at the same place if you constantly react, and that is, you're going to be a miserable fuck. So start responding, stop reacting. Ask yourself what it looks like to respond, and practice executing a response, right? Put a speed bump between the knee jerk, which is going to lead to old patterns that completely gray you out and make you miserable.